Who was Lubna of Córdoba, and why haven't we heard of her? Last night I was thinking about how many names we memorize in school: emperors, generals, scientists, inventors, and how many others are just missing. Entire lives erased or ignored. So I decided to start a little side series within Midnight Question. Stories of people history didn't bother to keep in the spotlight. And we are starting with someone you've probably never heard of: Lubna of Córdoba. Lubna lived in the 10th century Spain, in the city of Córdoba, during a time when it was one of the most advanced cities in the world. It was the capital of the Islamic Caliphate in the west, Al-Andalus, and it had public baths, street lights, libraries, universities, and one of the largest collections of books in Europe. While the rest of the continent was struggling through the Middle Ages, Cordoba was a hub of science, philosophy, and poetry. And somewhere in the middle of all that was Lubna, writing, translating, calculating, thinking. Lubna started her life either as a slave or the daughter of one. We don't know exactly, but we know she was freed, educated, and rose through the ranks of the caliph's palace, eventually becoming the chief scribe and secretary to Caliph al-Hakam II. That might sound like a clerical job, but in reality, she was managing part of the caliphate's enormous library, cataloging and acquiring texts, translating scientific works, and get this, teaching math to other scholars. People who knew her wrote that she was unmatched in arithmetic and geometry, and some even said no one in the palace was more noble or more learned than she was. In a world where women were rarely allowed into spaces of knowledge, Lubna didn't just walk in, she ran things. And yet, here we are over 1,000 years later, and her name is barely mentioned in history books. Her legacy is scattered across a few footnotes and rare manuscripts. Most people, even those who study math or the history of science, have never heard of her. Was it because she was a woman? Because she came from a background of slavery? Because she lived in a Muslim kingdom during a time when later European historians prefer to pretend those civilizations never produced anything valuable? Probably all of the above. But Lubna's story still survived, quietly between the lines. And when you find it, it shifts something. It makes you realize how many people might have shaped the world in brilliant ways but never got credit for it. So this episode is for Lubna, mathematician, scholar, librarian, forgotten genius. One of many names we should have grown up learning but didn't. Got a weird or overlooked midnight question keeping you up? Drop it in the comments and maybe it will be featured in a future episode. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep wondering. I am Mari and this is Midnight Question.